Part of one of those. I'll let others infer which part you were. So, listeners, share your feedback of which part you think Matt was of the Australian sandwich. So, anyway,
spoiler alert: I'm not Australian.
Speaking of a guy who I think
was also
was
14 minutes longer than the average.
Speaking of guys, I think was in quite a few Australian sandwiches. Michael Hutchins, handsome gentleman. Michael Hutchins is.
Are we covering Kylie Minogue? What's it that part of?
First of all, I believe the G is silent there, right? Matt.
Oh, it is Kylie Minogue?
Yes, it was Kylie Minogue, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know.
I didn't know the G was silent.
We're going to have to clean that stack. I don't know.
Shit.
Yeah. I never have heard the G pronounced, so either
I've always pronounced it with the G.
So have I.
Okay.
Yeah. I
mean,
that doesn't mean I'm right. So wait, how did she ties in? She dated Michael Hutchins? Is that right?
She did. Yes, she did. She was like a pop star in Australia. Yeah. And then like this was, you know how like the pop star ends up dating like the bad boy type deal? Like he was like her bad boy. Michael Hutchins was a dude who was a man about town, man. He was quite the hunk. He dated supermodels and all that stuff. So
okay. Yeah, I know nothing about him but his sad demise. That's the only fact I know about him.
Which is in dispute, I think, too, about whether that was an urban legend or not. But anyway, let's not go there because there's a
Kylie Minogue. Wikipedia pronunciation does have the G at the end, so I'm going to go with Minogue.
Okay, Minogue. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
She's also in excellent order of the British Empire. She's got like awards and stuff. So
OBE.
OBE. Yeah.
She also is in like I would say on one of the when they name like first team and second team All Pro, I'd put her like a first or second team all over 40 hotties collection. Would you put her in? Yeah, she always has been an attractive woman, but she's maintained quite attractiveness like throughout her career. So not that she's not a talented artist, and I'm sure very intelligent and has notes
nice
and letters,
save,
but she's also very attractive.
I mean, she's probably one of the most famous Australian artists, I would think. I was thinking about that the other day.
Well, before we get into this, the Australian artists, right? You got AC/DC. You've got the two we're covering tonight, INXS and Midnight Oil, popped to mind immediately. Natalie Imbruglia,
Savage Garden,
yeah.
Now I'm just naming bands, not
Silverchair.
Silverchair, yes, is
that greatest Australian band ever. Silverchair.
What's isn't Nicole Kidman's husband or ex-husband? Isn't he Australian?
No,
he's American.
No, he's a country guy.
Wait, who am I thinking?
And Tom Cruise is definitely not Australian either, Josh. No, there's a couple others I'm sure we're missing, but I think we got a lot of the big ones there. But anyway, INXS-KICK.
Keith Urban. Wait, he is Australian?
Yeah, is he?
He's Australian.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's Australian. My bad.
Good job, like the Josh. Second time I've whiffed tonight on that one, so I need to revisit my Australian history. So, run the numbers for us. Oh,
all right. Let's do that. INXS.
And you go ahead. You know what? Go ahead and go first too, because I know this album has a special place in your heart.
All right. INXS-KICK. Kicking it off with Kick, as Josh said, comes in at number 108 in the 1980s on Best Ever Albums, number 14 in 1987, number 711 of all time. It is INXS's highest-rated album on Best Ever Albums, not making Rolling Stone's list, but they do clock in at number 411 in overall artist rankings on Best Ever Albums. And yeah, I love this album. This is this is like another one of those albums that's like you forget how many hits are on it, and then like the first 5 or 6 songs, you're like, wow, that's just like one single after another.
Every one besides one is what I extrapolate it, Matt. Like, of the songs I know of INXS, there was only one that wasn't on this album that I consider to be a hit. So
yeah. So this is just like, and I love the way it begins. Guns in the Sky is just a great opening, kind of energetic staccato guitar riff.
He's got like this growling too, or yelling.
He goes, ho, ho. So that gets you right in the mood right off the bat. But no, I think the thing that
that sounds like thrusting, doesn't it? Like someone like thrusting, like it's like the musical equivalent of just like somebody pelvic thrusting. So yeah. Continue.
So I think the thing that I picked up here, which I never thought of before. I mean, these are songs I remember hearing them all the time. I think my brother had the record. I've just heard these songs all the time. Like I never equated. They have a very distinct guitar sound. It's kind of like It's kind of like a Edge U2 guitar sound, but not quite as much. It's got that, or it's a similar style at least, but it's definitely it's funk, right? It's like a funk guitar kind of thing that they're doing that I never really thought of as being funk before, but
it's got a definitely ringing to it too, doesn't it? Like a ringing sound a little bit.
Yeah, and it just reminded me of like a similar style and tone to that you would see in some funk bands and stuff. So I was as I was listening to it, I just thought, wow, I never really put two and two together there before. But this is just a great album. It's got great rock tunes, and it's got and with that guitar sound, I think they've got their own unique style. You know, when you hear that guitar, that it's not just in this record either. I've heard it in other INXS songs before. So it's one of those bands that kind of found this, sound that was clearly their own. And as soon as you hear, their guitar sound, it's like, okay, well, that's definitely INXS. But so you've got New Sensation, obviously huge. Devil Inside's got a great guitar riff to it. Meditate, Need You Tonight, all great songs. And then they bring it down a little bit. Like I forgot about Never Tear Us Apart, and that's just a really, that's kind of a pretty song with the synths in the beginning, and it's got like a quasi saxophone solo going on. But I love the way that it ends too, with Kick calling all notions and tiny daggers. It doesn't really let up a whole lot. There's, like I said, there's a couple of slowed down songs, but a lot of energy. I don't think it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's just a really solid rock album. And I don't know, I didn't look into the info on it at all. I don't know how much it sold, but I do remember this being quite big, regular rotation on the radio and on MTV. So it was fun going back to this. I've never owned this. It was great getting back to listening to this, front to back. So, big thumbs up for me. I think it's a great rock album. So I like it.
Yeah, I don't have any relationship or really experience listening to INXS. I think I knew some of these songs, the big ones off of this album, Never Tear Us Apart and Need You Tonight and New Sensation. I think those are the big ones, but never listened to an INXS album before and didn't know much about them. And at first listen, I was kind of like underwhelmed by this album. I was like, what? I felt like they were just kind of, I was really annoyed for some reason that the fact that they just kept using the same repeating track in the background and like the songs didn't feel finished to me. Like Guns in the Sky kept waiting for the chorus to kick in and he just kept singing and I was like, what is going on? And then he and then it's kind of the same in New Sensation, and it's got this kind of like 80s, I don't know, it's got a really clean production and it's got this kind of 80s, not electronic but artificial feel to it. There's not a lot of hearing a lot of distortion or mistakes or anything like that in the
it's
sound
clean
of the song. Yeah, it's clean. But then as it went on, I kind of got into it more, and then by the time I listened to it again, I was like, why am I complaining about this when it's,
I don't know,
when it's like,
why are you complaining about
it? It's a perfectly fun like pop album to listen to. I wouldn't classify it as rock, but I would, because I don't feel like they really kind of deviate from their formula of their sound and their song structure, if that makes sense. It's always Hutchins up front. There's not really a lot of like guitar soloing or kind of experimentation within like the instruments, or like not a lot of like a free form feel to the songs. They feel very like coordinated, and there's like always pretty much a solid beat in the back, and they're just kind of layering on that and not really feeling like there's a ton of like, I don't know, variance, I guess. But I think what they do pretty well, and Hutchins' voice is really strong and appealing, and I think they are just kind of leaning into really like, I don't know, it's a pretty catchy album, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And the songs do, they build in such a way that you can't help but tap your toe and like sing along to them. And they do what they do well. There's a little bit of blues, I would say, in a song like The Loved One. I think that one's a pretty good deeper cut on this. Need You Tonight, when I was listening to it, I was humming it later, and then Emily was like, "Are you singing that Dua Lipa track, Break My Heart?" And I was like, no. And then we listened to it, and it's like, it takes the INXS beat.
Yes.
And
Oh, really?
And uses it. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's like
for
what
sure.
she like heard it from first, I think. Or I mean, she knew the song, but she definitely thought of Dua Lipa first. So that was a fun synchronicity thing. But yeah, it's a big pop sound. It's clean, like Matt said, and it's just kind of fun. There's not like any necessarily like deeper substance to the songs. I mean, compared to like Midnight Oil, which we'll get to later, and then but it's got a big like arena sound almost to it, and I can see why they would have kind of a mass appeal, and I'm guessing this album sold pretty well. I didn't look at the stats, but yeah, it's fun.
It did.
Yeah. It's not like something that's going to be super high up in my rankings, but it's really fun, and I think it's kind of a big, almost like key component to the 80s sound, I think, or at least like of big albums. So yeah, it was a thumbs up for me ultimately.
It says, according to the band's official autobiography, the album sold nearly 10 million copies.
Okay, that's a lot.
Only 2 years after its release. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was big. Yes.
A couple initial thoughts on this album for me. Number one, this is one of the first albums I've heard that sounds more like the late 80s than the early and the mid. And I saw when it came out, and it was the late 87, and I was like, boy, yeah, this does sound very different than even what 1985 was in terms of some of the production tricks and just the sound of the album. That's one thing that popped out to me right away. The second is, I remember when I was a kid, they would talk about how INXS had similarities to the Rolling Stones, and I remember always being kind of baffled by that when I was a kid. And then I listened to this album, and I was like, oh, it's like the non-singles, because if you listen to Tiny Daggers, I mean,
yeah,
he's basically doing a Jagger impersonation, and that song is basically trying to do a Stones vibe.
I never thought of that, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, and like the more I listened, the more I was like, oh, now I get where that comparison when I was a kid came from. I remember this album vividly because my mom loved this album, like INXS. So like I would hear this album in the car regularly when I was a kid. I think I thought when I was listening to it at the time, I was listening to a greatest hits album, because it felt like every song, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, like, because you know, there's 5 songs on this album that I recognized right off the bat. Like and also visually, right? I immediately, the New Sensation video, I can see in my head. The Need You Tonight, that's the one where there's like the cuts, right? Like the jump cuts, and they're showing Michael Hutchence, and it's like they take a photograph almost, and then it merges into one picture, to the side. I think Meditate, that video is him imitating the Dylan thing, right, where he's throwing the cards, if I remember.
Yep.
Yeah. Never Tear Us Apart, I can remember. So there's all these songs, and with the exception of Suicide Blonde, which I think came later, right?
Yeah, it's on a different album.
This is like that Gabriel album I said, where it's like, I know some other songs by Peter Gabriel, but boy, the concentration of the ones I know, it's amazing how many.
Yeah, I bet you the greatest hits album, that's like half of it is this record.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of singles on this album. When you have 5 singles off of, because that's right, New Sensation, Devil Inside, Need You Tonight, Meditate, and Never Tear Us Apart. I recognized all 5 of those songs, even not being a huge INXS, enthusiast. I think my take is in the middle, because there's songs on this album like Need You Tonight and Meditate in particular that I really like. Never Tear Us Apart is a ballad I like quite a bit too. New Sensation, it's so omnipresent that it's hard for me to have an opinion on it, because I've just heard it so many times. Devil Inside I like, but I always felt like it was like a minute and a half too long. Like they should have tied it off at 3:36 or 3:40, like every other song on the album, and it stands out as being the only song that goes 5 minutes, and I'm like, why would they just randomly pick that one song to go? Because it's just that last minute or so was repetitive, and it's like they had very good awareness of when to get out. There, I think the thing that the deep. I know you said "Guns in the Sky," Matt. I was not a fan of that song. In fact,
I like that song. It's not a true. Okay,
it did
go
not
ahead.
do any. It didn't do anything for me. I'll be honest.
Did you know?
With you.
And you knew that song before, right? Yeah.
Vaguely, yes.
Yeah.
The other thing with its album is there's a lot of songs like "Mystify" and "Tiny Daggers" and "Kick" that sound like other songs, but I couldn't figure out like exactly what. And so then I started going, is it like? And I'm thinking they sound like another band or whatever, but like Mystify, I swear to God, I thought it was like a sample of something or a cover or something. And I went looking to see if that was the case, but no. And I could not identify what I found it to be derivative of. But and so songs like "Kick" and "Calling All Nations," the "Wildlife," like there is a lot that I was just like, these are kind of almost fillery for me. But the highs are so high, and I think, Matt, you're 100% right. There's a funky and bluesy vibe that goes through this whole album, right? The guitar part that I guess when I thought of INXS, I thought of them in the lane more of like synth type rock is like how I would imagine it. But like when you listen to this, you're like, no, this is definitely blues based rock, and as you said, funk based rock. And it very much cleared up my misconception there. And it was also interesting to process this group as a song set of 12 songs as opposed to just individual singles, which is how I've always processed this group prior to it. I think when you listen to 12 songs, the things that stand out are some of the things that you mentioned, the ringing tone of the guitar, the bass lines, that like synth drum, that cha-cha drum, it's drum that came in quite a bit. Michael Hutchence does have a command voice-wise that makes you pay attention. And like you said, Josh, his vocals are kicked way up to the front of the mix at all times, as is the guitar part is kicked to the front of the mix. And the drums and the bass, they pop, right? But they pop from the background. Like they're almost like punching up, as they come in. So
I wonder if you think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was going to say the only other thing I'd say is that there is a level of 80s disposability to these songs for me that struck me a little bit. Not bad, but I don't feel like these songs define periods or moments for me. They're more they're more music that sort of appears and disappears, and that's not a negative thing, but like I didn't connect with them emotionally. Even a song like Mediate, excuse me,
I did
Mediate
not like that song.
It's like it's going for a vibe, and like I kind of met it there, but like the vibe I think they were going for and the vibe of how I processed it wasn't as profound. And it was word salad a little bit. The lyrics, I was kind of trying to figure out what it was, but it was kind of like an existential theme, which with a song called Mediate I kind of get. But so like I say for me, this one thumbs in the middle. I could go up a little bit because it is a pleasant listen, and so from that end of things, at no point was I like, all right, come on, this is going too long or anything like that. So that goes a long way with me because one of my pet peeves is when a piece is not interesting enough to go long, right? Like you either can be interesting and go long, or you can be less interesting and go short. But when you're uninteresting and go long, that's the worst case scenario. And this one certainly didn't overstay its welcome. But go ahead, guys. What are your thoughts?
I was going to say, I wonder if you think their songs sound like other songs of theirs because they kind of have the same start to them or something. And I think I noticed that also. I kept wondering why this sounded so familiar.
There is a formula. There is a formula.
Yeah.
Well, even when they go from "Need You Tonight" into "Mediate," it's the same. It's like if you blink, you don't realize that they're just transitioning into a different song because it's the same beat. It's almost like two songs in one.
Yeah,
like part A, part B.
I think that is a little knock for me. I think for listening to this as an album, because I did feel that kind of like not disposable, like John said, but there is some kind of like it could be any song. Like there's interchangeability, or you could shuffle these in any order, and it would be like like the same in some way.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's just because it's like songs that I've liked so long, and the order I guess doesn't matter for me because it's, just I've always, like John said, I think it's very much a kind of a singles kind of band that I'm mostly familiar with, and I did like the songs I didn't know as much. I mean, I don't think they're as strong as the singles necessarily, but I still thought that they were good and serviceable. And I think I see what you guys are saying about Guns in the Sky. It's not it's kind of like almost a novelty song in a way because it's certainly not traditional. I just think it's a cool way to open it. I just love that guitar part, and it's just over 2 minutes, so it's not that. That'd be a different thing if they drag that out to 5 or 6 minutes. That would definitely be problematic. But
I would have definitely opened this album if I were scoring it with New Sensation. I think it makes a lot more sense as a first track. You know, that like beginning of that, like, at the beginning, it's kind of immediately recognizable. And then immediately you get his voice sort of like, coming in from the beginning, a big chorus. To have like kind of a chorusless song at the beginning is an interesting choice as a number 1 song.
I guess
it
I'm
felt
okay
like it
with
should
that.
have been a number 8 song.
I guess I'm okay with that because I think with that powerful guitar part in the beginning, it's just very in your face up front, and it's like I said, it's quick. I don't mind it being the first track. I've always kind of had a soft spot for that, but yeah, I could. It's definitely like it's not a traditional type of song. But I see what you guys were saying, but I've always liked it, so I was happy to hear it again.
Fair enough.